Hare Krishna. So, thank you very much for inviting us here, this beautiful temple. Would you like to have question and answers session?
Yeah,
or?
Is that okay, guys? All right. So,
Okay.
any questions?
Yes.
That's an important factor.
Or should I just speak?
Sorry?
Or should I just speak?
Maybe just speak.
Get us warmed up.
Yeah.
Give us 5 minutes, speak a little bit, and then maybe some questions.
Okay. You're good in questions, so you can say. So there was I saw monkeys here at his place, and there was a pack of monkeys living in some court, and they were favorite of the prince there, and they were enjoying like anything. They were playing and eating fruits and having a good time, and the prince was enjoying playing with them. But one time, the old monkey, the wisest and most senior of all of them, came and he gathered all the monkeys, and he said, you know, something is happening here and it's not safe for us to stay. We should go away. And they all say, you silly old man or monkey. We are favorite of the prince, what can happen to us? And he said, Hare Krishna. And he said, I'm observing what's going on, and I see that there is a sheep who's coming and stealing food from the kitchen, and the cook always chases her away, this sheep, with whatever he gets in his hand. So one day he will definitely grab the burning log and chase the sheep away, and if her wool gets on fire, then the sheep will run back to the stable where there are horses, and the stable will get on fire, and horses will be definitely burned very much by the fire. And in Shastra, it is said that monkey's fat is the best cure for the horses, for the burns of the horses. And they said, oh, you're just exaggerating this. You're just making up some silly story, and they didn't listen to him. So they stayed, but he went away. And sure enough, what he predicted, it happened. One day, the sheep came to the kitchen again, stealing food there, and the cook grabbed the burning log and started beating the sheep with this, and her wool got on fire, and she was running back to the stables, and there was a big fire, and the horses were burned very severely, and everyone was in big distress, what to do now. And then the advisor came to the king, and he said, you know, we have packs of monkeys here, and In Shastra it is said that the fat of the monkeys is the best cure for the burnt horses. And so they caught all the monkeys and killed them and made cure for the horses from their fat. So this is a very instructive story for us also. Because we are repeatedly warned by the sages, don't stay here, don't try to enjoy material world, because the time will come that you'll be killed. You'll be completely powerless to do anything. You'll be just killed. And you'll suffer and die. So we should listen these wise words of the saints and shouldn't try to seek pleasure in this world. Lord Krishna says in 5th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita, Yehi sansparsha bhoga dukkha yona evate adyantavantah kanta nateshu ramati buddha. That those who are Buddha, who are intelligent, who have at least some drop of intelligence, they don't try to enjoy this world, because everything in this world has its beginning and its end, and therefore enjoyment of this world are dukkha yonaya. Dukkha means misery, and yonaya means that it gives birth to misery. So these enjoyments give birth to misery. And more we try to enjoy something, more we suffer when we lose it. And we will definitely lose it, because this is the nature of this material world. And we are all pleasure-seeking living entities. We all want to be happy. This is our nature. Anandamayo vyasat. So, if we seek pleasure in this material world, we'll definitely consider these pleasures as something that make us happy. Isn't it? And more we think we are getting pleasure from something, more we get attached to it. And more you are attached to something, more you suffer when you lose it, when it's taken away. And therefore, this is the world of misery. And Krishna says this, it's dukkhalayam ashashvatam. He says this in 8th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita. And dukkhalayam means full of misery. And ashashvatam means it's temporary, it's not permanent. And in the 9th chapter, he uses two different words to describe the same thing. He says, anityam asukham. Nityam means eternal, but this word is anityam, is temporary. And sukham is happy, but this word is asukham. And so Krishna, in two verses, in two different chapters, he stresses this point. He's teaching us, don't seek pleasure in this world. Don't seek pleasure in this world, because it is asukham, it is dukkhalayam. So we shouldn't be like these stupid monkeys. And we should listen the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who came just for us to become happy. Because we want to be happy, as we explained. But Krishna knows how to become happy. We don't know. Every day we experience suffering. This is the world of suffering, every day. Maybe one may think, I don't experience suffering, I'm enjoying. There was some public lecture of some devotee, he had a public lecture, and he asked audience in Europe, is there anyone here who never suffered? And there was one person who raised his hand, and on this hand his finger was bandaged. So we think many times we are so dull, we are so accustomed to sufferings that we don't even recognize sufferings. For example, the most common suffering in this world that happens every day to everyone, that we have to go to the toilet. And it's suffering, otherwise why we should go to the toilet? And if we don't answer this call of nature, then it gets real suffering, more and more and more. So it's suffering in the beginning, and then we say we get relieved of the suffering. Yes, we suffer every day, but it is so common that we don't even notice, we even consider it suffering. Yes, so we should know that this material life is just suffering. And we get attached to our family members, to our husbands, wives, children, parents, friends, relatives, and we lose them all. There was some period, in few years, everyone I knew died. My mother died, my grandmother died, my uncle died, my two relatives died, all in, I don't know, in 5 years or something. So it was really a hard time, in fact. But if you have a spiritual vision, you can understand that this is the nature of this world, that just brings misery. But people who don't have this spiritual understanding, Jai Shri Dayal Nitai Gaura Hari Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. I couldn't remember his name. Yes. So we are wandering from one planet to another in searching of happiness. Aprama bhuvana loka punaravarti nojana. Mama pitya tukanta punarjanmana vidyate. Thanks Krishna. That these places of material world, even from Brahma Loka to Pata Loka, from the highest planet of this world to the lowest, there's just suffering. So we should find the place where there is no suffering, and it's called Vaikunta. Vaikunta means suffering. Vaikunta means without suffering. And we shouldn't count on Vaikunta only after death, because this is the usual religious sentiment. I live my life here, and after death I'll go to Vaikunta, or to heaven, or whatever our belief is. Isn't it like this? Yes. But Krishna explains in 8th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, Yam yam vapi smaram bhavan tyajantyanti kalivaram tam tam aveta kanta sadat bhava bhavata. That whatever consciousness one has at the time of death, this state of being he'll definitely achieve. So if we want to go to spiritual world after death, we should live in spiritual world now. This is my message. This is my message. So we should live in spiritual world now. And those who want to go to heaven after death, they should live in heaven now. We cannot live just ordinary material life and expect that we'll completely change our state of existence. It's impossible. This is counting on some miracle. But there is no miracle. And it's similar verse in 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Prajamstim staitam I forgot. But it's explaining how the caterpillar goes from one blade of grass to another. And before it goes to another, it still is holding on the previous blade of grass. And then when it's firmly established on the new one, it let go the first one. So it's similar with our changing our bodies. So we are holding to some ideas. We are holding some state of existence, and only then we live our present body. So nothing really changes except the dress. The dress is changing, but not the consciousness. Death has no power to change our consciousness. Never it is written like this, that the death has the power to change our consciousness. Krishna has the power to change our consciousness if we want it. Because Krishna will help us in whatever way we want. In 7th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, he explains, he says, yo yam yam tanum bhaktaha shradayartum ichati tasyat tasyachalam shradam tamiva vidadhamyaham. Whatever we desire, whatever we want to worship, because we all worship something, even the ardent atheists worship something. Krishna will support our faith. He will make this faith stronger and stronger in our chosen path, so that we can devote ourselves to something really seriously. Otherwise, we would be just lost if we don't have firm faith in what we do. So even if we have crazy faith, Krishna will make it stronger. So Krishna will help to pursue our own ideas. So if we don't follow the teachings of the saints and scriptures of what Krishna says, our fate will be according to our crazy ideas. Yes. Thank you very much. So I will end here. We know from Shastra and from the saints, the sages, that the process for this age is chanting of the holy name. So, holy name is the most powerful process. It is meant for people in Kali Yuga. When the patient is very ill, the medicine should be the most strong. So, the medicine for this most fallen of ages is chanting of the holy names, which is Krishna himself personally. And therefore we should take this chanting of the holy names very seriously. We should be completely devoted to our chanting. Not to do anything during our chanting. Rise very early in the morning and just chant. Just focus on the holy name. Just me and the holy name. Not our phone. We should not allow the phone to disturb us, because this is the ultimate distractor in Kali Yuga, in modern time of Kali Yuga, the phone. So we should switch off the phone and put it in another room. Yes, no sound should come from the phone. And we should not look through the windows during our chanting, not speak to other people, not catching our rounds during the day. Just chant with focus. Yes. And cry for Krishna's mercy. This is our only hope. And therefore we should take it seriously. Yes. Hare Krishna. So I hope you have some questions.
I have a question.
Please.
You speak about how this world, depending upon our attachment and how strong it is to something, the more we suffer. Why is that? Why is it depending on how strong our attachment is to something or someone, when we lose that thing, why is it we suffer more than if we had no attachment to it?
Because you are pleasure-seeking living entity. You want to be happy. And you consider you are attached to something because you consider this that this thing is making you happy. And therefore, you don't want to be unhappy even for a moment. If I'm asking you all, how much happiness you want in percentage?
100%, please.
100%.
Yes.
And how much misery in percentage?
Zero.
0. So it's obvious. You want to be happy all the time, without even a fraction of misery, even for a moment. So, if you enjoy something very much, you of course want to get this enjoyment more and more and more, and not stop this enjoyment even for a moment. But when this enjoyment, this happiness is taken away from you, you suffer, because you don't want to lose this, what makes you happy. Therefore, it brings suffering. Yes. It's simple logic.
How can we redirect our attachment? We say we naturally need pleasure. We seek it.
Yes.
Pleasure-seeking entities.
Yes.
And so if we're seeking pleasure in things which are gone the next day, and we suffer because of that loss, then what is it that we should focus on?
We should focus on Krishna. It's that was a question put from sages in Naimisharanya. The sages in Naimisharanya, they gathered. There was a big gathering 5,000 years ago of the sages who came together in the forest Naimisharanya. And they asked Sutta Goswami to speak to them. And they said in one verse in the beginning of first chapter, Burini buri karmani shrotavyani vibhagasha adaksadotrayat saram samudrita manishaya bruhi badraya bhutanam yanatma suprasidati. You have studied many shastras. And in these shastras is explained many different paths and many different rituals and many prohibitions and many commandments. Please tell us, what is the essence of everything? What is the essence by which Atma, that means self, can become suprasidati? Prasidati means happy. And suprasidati means perfectly happy, perfectly satisfied. And Sutta Goswami answers this question in the next chapter, and he says, Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktiradokshase ahaitukya pratihata yayatma suprasidati. And he uses the same word, suprasidati. And he says that Atma can become suprasidati by ahaituki bhakti. Ahaituki bhakti means unconditional love, unconditional service to the Supreme Lord. And it should be apratihata, uninterrupted. So, in order to be suprasidati, perfectly, completely happy, this love shouldn't be interrupted, even for a moment. If you interrupt it for 10 minutes, then 10 minutes you're not suprasidati. So, and this love, ahetuki bhakti, should be directed towards adokshaja, the Supreme Lord who transcends our sense perception. So, because we want to be perfectly happy, and in reality, even in this world, we know that true happiness comes only in relationship. There is no happiness in having things or enjoying things. It's frustrating, really. If we enjoy things on our own and we don't want to share with those who we love, we just suffer. We cannot receive pleasure from this. We suffer more than enjoy. So, loving relationship is the only way to happiness. But we know no one in this world is perfect, and therefore our relationships in this world are not perfect. And as long as we are not pure in our heart, every relationship, even between husband and wife, parents and children, and between friends and relatives, is just to some degree mutual exploitation. So I give you this and I expect something in return, your affection, your love, and so on. And usually, as there are business deals, usually we expect a little bit more in return. And on every level of relationships in material world is like this. It's just business deal. If we are a little bit rude, of course. Of course, there are loving relationships, but therefore it is so much quarrel, so much fighting in this world. And it is the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. And especially in the West, I don't know how it's like here. They make, you're from America, you know this better than I do. And they make pre-marital contracts. So sheer business deal. I wanted to stress that only pleasure comes from relationship, and this relationship should be perfect. And only perfect personality is Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it's eternal, never lasting, everlasting, never stops. So it can give us perfect and permanent pleasure. Yes. Hare Krishna. You wanted to ask something?
Well, I just wanted to ask where you're from and how did you come to Krishna consciousness?
I'm from Slovenia.
Slovenia.
Yes, this is Central Europe, next to Italy.
Oh,
Yes. You most probably know where is Italy.
yes.
Yes, because it's so conspicuous, this island, peninsula, and in the form of a boot. Everyone knows where is Italy. So we are bordering Italy, northern Italy. Northern Italy, yes. So I came to Krishna consciousness by Prabhupada's books. Yes, I was born and raised in Christian family. Especially my grandmother was very deep in spirituality, in understanding God. She was living at the countryside, and she was having a very small farm, one cow. And many times I was with her during my vacation. I was at her place, and she was very, very deeply religious. We worked on the field or in the meadows, and when it was ringing of noon in the church, we stopped during our work and prayed rosemary, one part of rosemary. You know what is rosemary? It's like a japa. So we prayed, and in the evening when we came back home, she was listening to Radio Vatican. You know what is Vatican? Have you heard about Vatican before? No. It's interesting. Vatican is the small state. It's a Pope state in the middle of Rome. Rome is the capital of Italy. But this is a very small country, and is the Pope's state. You heard about the Pope?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. See, this is the head of Catholic Church. And they had radio, Vatican, and somehow or other in these hills in Slovenia, she could hear this Radio Vatican. And they were praying rosemary in Latin. And she prayed rosemary along with them in Slovene. And I was playing with some firewood or something. And she was listening this rosemary in Latin so much that I learned Ave Maria is the prayer to Mary, to Saint this Mother of Jesus, to Saint Mary. In Latin, and I still know this prayer in Latin after 48 years or something. So, yes, and I never learned Latin. I know just this prayer in Latin. Yes. So I considered myself very, very devout to Jesus. But later on, my faith dwindled during the times of my uni years, and but I started to study Christian saints for my diploma. I was writing a diploma, and I studied Christian saints, and then I encountered Saint Francis of Assisi. Maybe you have heard about Saint Francis of Assisi. This was one great saint who considered everyone and every living being as his brother and sister. Yes, even wolves he considered his brothers, and sun was his brother, moon was his sister, even death he called sister death. And he considered this body just as a donkey who is carrying him around. Yes, it's like a vehicle. He has real Vaishnava philosophy, and he established also a Grihastha Asha, and it's unprecedented in Catholic Church. So he was a really special guy. He was a mendicant, and I was completely taken over by his example, and I wanted to become a Christian missionary. And by the time I also received Prabhupada's books, and I was reading Prabhupada's books, and I was very, very impressed by them, and I took him that they're bona fide, because whatever I read, nothing was opposite to Jesus' teachings. And I was was going to the temple just to buy books. I didn't consider that I would become a Hare Krishna devotee. And that wasn't my desire either. But somehow or other, I couldn't become a missionary. And because Prabhupada was speaking so much, Jai Shri Dayal Nitai Gurna Chandra Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. I'm sorry if I'm offensive, I forget the name. So I then was seeking devotee association among Christians, because Prabhupada is putting so much emphasis on devotee association. And I was searching for devotee association really hard, but I couldn't find it among Christians. They were not fixed enough according to my considerations, according to what Prabhupada is teaching and what Jesus was teaching. It was completely away from their teaching. So I considered this is not bona fide. So because I couldn't find proper devotee association, I just went to the temple and I joined there. Hare Krishna. Anything else? You ladies would like to ask a question? Yes, please.
How do we stay focused on Krishna, like in our everyday work?
How we?
How do we stay focused on Krishna in our everyday work?
Focused on Krishna?
So like, you have to go to a job and living and stuff. How do you maintain like a level of Krishna consciousness in the work that you're doing?
Yes. This is a very important question. In 8th chapter, Krishna says to Arjuna, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mama nusmara yudyacha mayarpita manobudir mama veshasya samshaya. Tasmat means therefore, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu, at all time, you should mam anusmara, think of me, and yudyacha, and fight. This is your job, this is your duty. So whatever is our duty, we should perform, and thinking of Krishna. Absorb your mind on me, he says. Mamanusmara yudhyasha mayarpita manobuddhi. Your mind and your consciousness, your intelligence, absorb in me, and Thus you will easily come to me without any doubt. But usually this is not so easy. And therefore he says in the next verse, Abhyasa yoga yuktana chita sananigamina paramam purusham divyam yati partana chintayan. So, because it's not easy for us, he says Abhyasa yoga yuktana. Therefore you should really focus on your sadhana and training of your consciousness. Because, and it explains in 12th chapter, by this training of our consciousness, we'll develop desire to attain him. We'll have deeper and deeper desire to attain him. And we'll crave for Krishna and cry for Krishna if we really devote our heart and time to our sadhana. Sadhana is the practice of our Krishna consciousness, and you should take it seriously. It should be fixed. It should be nishtha. Because we said that we are pleasure-seeking living entities. Did you experience sometimes that you are really in a hurry and you worry about many things and you take your prasad at the time? And have you noticed that you didn't taste anything? Do you have this experience? So, if we are not absorbed, we cannot taste anything. Even in material plane, what to speak of transcendental plane. If we are not absorbed, we cannot taste anything. So we should get absorbed in order to get taste. And this is called ruchi. Yes. Only through absorption we can taste. Without absorption there is no taste, no ruchi. And if we get ruchi, taste, more we taste something and more it's pleasurable, more we get attached to it. Isn't it like this? And this is called asakti, deep attachment, because we taste something. And only through asakti then can be bhava. Yes. Without asakti there is no bhava. Deep loving feelings toward the object of our love. Yes. So practice, fixed practice is the key. Without fixed practice, nothing can happen. And before you go to do your job or something you have to do before your duties, you can consider, Krishna, I'm your servant. I'm doing it for you, for your pleasure. Please accept it. We are not karma yogis, we are bhakti yogis. So we consider ourselves, what is the difference? Maybe outwardly it looks the same, but the attitude is different. We consider ourselves as Krishna's servants. Karma yogi considers himself as a master, but he offers the fruits of his work. He considers this is my own fruits and I offer them to Krishna. And I'll have some benefit. Have you heard about benefits? Indians usually speak about benefits. This is, of course, this business deal I was speaking. This is mutual exploitation. Krishna, I allow you to exploit me in this way. I'm rendering your service, but I expect that you allow me to exploit you, to receive such and such benefit. Yes. So we should know what is ahaituki bhakti, unconditional love, unconditional devotional service. So that we don't pray to Krishna for health, we don't pray to Krishna for good husband or good wife or good children or good job or anything like this. We pray to Krishna, just please engage me in your service. I would like to be your servant. Please engage me in your service. Yes. When Nrsimhadev offered boons to Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad he said that you are eternally my master and I'm eternally your servant. And if I would ask any boon from you, it would be a Vanik mentality. Have you heard about the word Vanik before? Know what is Vanik? It's a merchant. Merchant. So I don't want to be a merchant. I want to be just your servant. And then Krishna has nothing to give us. And then therefore he gives us himself to us. But if we want anything else, Krishna will happily give us this. And it says, therefore, in 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Muktim dadarti karhichit smana bhakti-yoga, that even liberation he can give easily, but not bhakti. Yes, therefore, we should strive for this most rare jewel of bhakti and consider ourselves as servants, servant of the servants, because everyone is Krishna's part and parcel, and therefore, if we are Krishna's servants, we are servants to every living entity. Of course, not according to their crazy whims, but like the physician, the doctor treats the patient. Patient may be crazy, but doctor serves this patient not according to his crazy whims, but in such a way that he makes him cured from his disease. Yes, this is service. He would do whatever this crazy fellow asks, this would be disservice, in fact. So he should do something that this guy is cured. So we should serve these living entities. How many are there? How many are here today? Just a few, maybe 10. But out there are thousands and millions who are just suffering. So our duty is to help them to get this ahaituki bhakti. But in order to do this, we should get this ahaituki bhakti ourselves also. Hare Krishna, I hope this okay. We should end? Yeah. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Pramanande, Hari